Good morning, everyone. I know we have a break right before this. I'm standing as well, which is a bit odd. I thought today was great, right? We started with AI. I think, Brad, you said it's not AI that's going to take the jobs of the person that's using it, right? I love that quote. We have quotes like marketing is dead, right? A little controversial. But how we make the best of it and how we grow with that is key, right? And then, I really enjoyed Vanessa's piece on purpose-driven marketing. Very near and dear to my heart. I think that's really key. Walking the talk, being authentic, but normalizing the purpose, right? So we've had two great setups for our next panelists, who are very talented, Sara and Paz. We're going to be talking about building brand relevancy while creating lasting loyalty. We're going to tackle it in three ways. We're going to go back in time, right, back in the 90s, because we love the 90s. I love the 90s, that was my time. We're going to go back to the 90s and look at some video clips, right, of the brands, and see how that's progressed over time. Right, because things have changed, right? How do we adapt, how do we change, markets and so forth, and get their amazing perspectives on that. Then we're going to go a little bit deeper on innovation, and how we maintain the balance of keeping our users, right, whilst finding new ones. But keep that balance, because that's really important, because we build momentum for the brand, for longevity. And then we're going to end with, which is really, it's a tough one. I think this is a tough one, loyalty, right? Like, how do you create lasting loyalty? Lasting not for a year, but over, potentially 100 years of these brands combined, and some of the brands that we'll talk about. So with that, before we even kick into a gear, what I love doing is doing a little warm-up session, because we have such great talent here. So let's get to know them a little bit better. I like to do a little rapid-fire session. Random questions. There's a mystery question in the three. So I'm going to throw you off a little bit. So I thought, let's get to know these amazing, talented individuals who work incredibly hard to change their businesses and grow. So my first quick question, this is rapid, it's going to be fast, okay? What are you binge watching right now, Paz?
I just finished Bridgerton. I'm very sad, but I can't wait for June 13th. I think is the new release, so yeah, that's what I just
That's good, very good.
I just finished Shogun, so I'm not sure how many of you watched that. Season 2 is coming out.
Love it.
That was an awesome show.
Brilliant. I'm going to say, I just finished The Rookie, isn't that bad? I got stuck with it. Yeah, that's not about me, so shall I? Here's the mystery one. First and worst job.
The worst job? Oh, I was telling this story to Ariff yesterday. When I was 16, I worked at Big Boy as a waitress. I lasted a week. It was very hard work. Yes, it was a long story.
It's a long story, but that's good.
Story.
That's fair. That's good. Excellent. So 1 week, perfect. I love it. But you went with pride.
Yes, I never do make milkshakes. It's so hard to make. Most restaurants, people order a lot of milkshakes.
Okay. All right, Paz, you're up. Come on.
I was actually working for my mother in her office and filing, but she allowed me to take naps in the afternoon, so I don't know how child labor works that way. It was okay. It worked for me.
Did she dock your pay when you took it?
No, she didn't, and she paid for lunch, so it's not so bad.
Not so bad. I love that. What were you doing?
Filing,
Right.
answering phone calls, yeah.
Perfect. So you have two amazing brands there, right? Very, very distinct, very separate from the channel perspective. But what do you love about your brand? What is your favorite product? Like when you look at your menu, as and then from a brand perspective, what do you love? What do you say? That's my go-to.
You go ahead.
So one of my favorite items on the TGIF menu, it's actually rather new. I was thinking about it today. So it's called the Truffle Tacho. To help give some insight into what it is, I call it kind of a bougie potato skin. So right, TGI Friday is known for the potato skins. This is today's version of it, and it's drizzled with a beautiful garlic aioli on top, truffle aioli, and so it's just chef's kiss. Yeah.
That sounds yum. I'm ready.
Handmade.
Handmade.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
One of my favorite products within the Frito-Lay portfolio is popcorn cattle corn. Those are good. Yeah, a little bit sweet, and I can just eat a whole
The
bag.
cattle corn?
Yes.
I haven't had that in a while.
It's really good. It's a red bag. Look for it.
I love it. See, we're building up for lunch, everyone. You're getting hungry now, right? What's next? We got a session on. So, let's take another step back, because I mean, we have such amazing talent here. You all can read about the amazing sort of journeys of what they've done across the years and what they touch. But specifically today, what I'd love to know, just to share with the audience, like, in your roles today, what is your specific responsibilities, and what are you most proud of?
I can start. So I lead the brand teams for Simply Baked and Sun Chips at Frito-Lay. And what that means is I'm responsible for end-to-end brand management, which includes long-term, short-term brand strategy, the creative development, the innovation pipeline development, as well as commercial planning. So working a ton with the customer teams to make sure we know how our product's showing up, making sure our product's on shelf, and partnering with all the cross-functionals, the R&D, supply chain, procurement, to make sure we're providing the best products to our consumers.
So on my end, I am the Vice President of Marketing Communications for all of Fridays US, and for me, I aggregated up to consumer experience, because under my purview is everything from internal and external creative development to menu merchandising, so what the consumer or the guest might actually experience when they're in restaurant, as well as the digital guest experience, so that ecosystem, kind of all touch points there, as well as PR and media. So really driving that, how do I elevate that brand voice, that tone, and create that connection with the guests to drive them into the restaurant. But in restaurant, it takes a village. So just like Sara said, in terms of those cross-functional partnerships, super critical to making sure that once the guest gets into the restaurant, right, they have actually a great experience as well.
Excellent. Which really touched a lot of what we're talking about today. And what are you most proud of?
Most proud of. So I've been on my brands for 18 months, and there's really exciting things happening. So we have seen amazing transformation on Sun Chips. So last year, so this is CPG, right? Which right now is the snack category. It's growing low single digit. And we grew 30% last year in 2023. We are close to double digit growth again in 2024. So the brand has just gone through a transformation journey. It's super exciting. And then my other brand is Simply, and we're in the midst of another transformation journey. You'll see a whole new total Simply on shelf next year. That's gonna surprise and delight all of you. So it's really exciting, just the evolution, we've been able to take these brands on.
Love that.
And then for me, so I'm relatively new to the TGIF business, joined back at the end of October, but I picked up PR in February, March, and actually February. And for me, one of the most recent moments that I'm very proud of is how we activated under March Madness. So with the promotion and program that we ran, we not only earned 2 billion impressions, but
wow.
Within every media channel that we were featured, we actually preempted the national sponsor. So someone paid for the NCAA sponsorship. It wasn't me, and yet on the Today Show, in USA Today, every different publication, we were the first mention. So it was kind of, I think we've all done it. We've all talked about the big game, something of that nature. But we went to a place that was very authentic to the consumer as well as the brand, that just created magic not only in our office, but obviously for the publications that we engage with as well.
I love that. It's very community, right? Which is key.
Yeah.
And getting people out there with cost, like the cost for prices are so high right now for just food costs. I'm stumbling here. Food costs
Yes.
are expensive, right? So getting that out there in the sector is really important.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah, so that's great, fantastic. So thank you for that. Very talented and exciting stuff that we're doing here. Let's circle back to why we're here today. We're here to talk about building brand relevance. We're going to touch on the examples and videos, and we're going to go into innovation and loyalty. So let's start with the iconic brands that we have in front of us today, and let's go back in time. So for this, Sara and I wanted to show you a past video, right? This is
1981, when Sun Chips was first launched.
1981, I was wrong, yeah, right, okay. And so it's the first like video of it going out there. So, it's funny, I'm watching all of you and you're looking up smiling. I don't know what it is, like there's that, it has that feeling to it, right?
Yes, yeah.
So, I mean, we had this amazing, so there we are, fantastic launch, right? And it was a huge success, right? And this story is, I mean, clearly you have an amazing portfolio. We're talking about Sunship. And like every brand, we have ups and downs, right? Like any product, any business, it happens with brands, right? So, Forward Wine 10 years ago, both of you have some parallel paths here, right? Because you both have worked at PepsiCo, right?
Yes, and she used to work on Sunships about 10 years ago, so we connected the dots.
Happened over dinner last night, like, wow, how did that happen?
So yes, we were able to bridge some story on the...
Yeah, so everything's going well,
Sunships.
everything's growing, product brand happens, and then who wants to share the story? One of you has to kick it off.
Yeah, so how many of you remember the compostable bags, the Sunships?
So good.
And what do you remember about it?
They're loud.
Yes, they were very loud. So we, as an organization, were super proud because we were going to sustainability. These bags compose. We have this great advertising of just the bag going to soil. Very proud of it. And then what we are really surprised is that consumers care more about the sound of the bag. And it was all over the news about how loud the Sunships bags are. And
it's loud.
Yeah.
Last night I went and saw the video. I'm like, oh my god, that's insane. Really loud.
So yes, so Paz was there when that all happened.
Yeah, I got the honor of coming in after that happened. So it was how do we course correct the brand and get back to the flavor and really what's special about that product.
So yes, so I think what you're going with is every single brand, right? They have just different,
ups and downs, yeah.
Yeah, ups and downs.
And you're doing great, and just a little thing like that can throw things off. And we've all been there in our businesses. I mean, who's done a startup before? I mean, how many? Yeah, if all my startups were successful, I would not be here today, right? I mean, literally. But yeah, I mean, it's just part of that, right?
They weren't like we didn't know that was going to happen, right?
Right.
We just didn't think that consumers care so much about the sound. We thought consumers would be enamored that this is compostable.
And it was biodegradable, eco bag, right?
Yeah,
so the bag was made out of, so it's biodegradable. So that was a big thing. So let's define. So this is a good timing because it's all about brand positioning, right? We were talking about this last night. So specifically around, when you look at your product today for Sunships, how do you define its brand positioning?
Yeah, so Sunships, as part of this journey, we spend a lot of time with consumers. And one of the things I've learned over the years is you have to talk to consumers that love you. I know a lot of people, you say, hey, let's talk about consumers that don't love us, right? And trying to understand what just satisfiers we can meet. But I think the most important thing is spend as much time as you can with consumers that love you, that are loyal to you, the heavy users. So we did that on Sunships. And what we have uncovered, right, is Sunships, we play this unique role. We were the pioneer for permissible snacking. So when we launched in 1991, this category was pretty white space, right? During that time, we also launched baked. So it was, but we were the pioneers. And then over time, there's just a lot of more permissible snacks that came in. And what we realized, the role that we play in consumers' lives, was that it's a whole grain snack. So our core line is 100% whole grain. And most consumers, when they go to the shop, they're like, whole grains, I'm not sure how it's gonna taste. But they are so surprised on how good whole grain can taste so good. So that was a big aha for us. And what we have really done is, from a positioning standpoint, we are all, right, Sunships, you're connected to the sun, so we are all about that to help consumers discover brightness. We want to play that role in consumers' lives where our consumers are what we call the bright siders. They're constantly seeking progress, they're carving their own path, right? We want to make sure we help our consumers realize more of that brightness in every day.
And you were saying last night, I mean, you've done the research obviously on the brand, it's very beloved.
Yes, is the number 5 most beloved brand within the Frito-Lay snacks. But the interesting question is, if I asked, so you guys, who have heard Sunships before today? Okay. And how many of you have actually bought Sunships in the last month? Okay, so I see now something else good. So yes, so this is where we see a huge opportunity on the brand because we have 70% awareness. So if you ask people about Sun Chips, most people say, yeah, I know. And they have these really fond memories of Sun Chips growing up, right? Like coming back from gymnastics and going to school and it was part of the lunch. But what we have realized is that our top of mind awareness is 0%. Zero. So if you just ask consumers generally, what snacks comes to mind when you think about snacking? And Sun Chips is not on the radar at all. So that's what we have realized is a huge problem to solve for the brand, is how do we make Sun Chips top of mind for consumers? So we're part of your purchasing repertoire.
That's brilliant. Well, you know, mine's a Delta experience with Sun Chips. So you should
Yeah.
just stop that and I'll go buy more.
Yeah, so Delta has been a great partner for us because it's been getting Sun Chips in the hands of consumers, reminding consumers about this great brand that there's a lot of latent love, you just have to unleash it.
So now, forward wind, we're here today. There's two things, and I do want to go to Paz because we've got some stuff we want to go on TGI Friday, but just, we have, you know, a clip today, and there's some future creative coming out in the next 2 weeks. So you're hearing it hot from the press, right? Some new stuff. So maybe we can talk, maybe show the video of the eclipse.
Yeah, so I think what you're getting at is like how, as Sun Chips as brand, as we evolve, how do we maintain that brand relevance with consumers? And I will say just a couple things on that. One of the most important things I've realized over my years of marketing is you have to keep innovating on your portfolio. You have, the number one thing is you have to make sure your portfolio is relevant for consumers. And I'll talk a little bit about that during the innovation section and how we are thinking through that. But then also, I think for brand to be relevant is that you have to be culturally relevant, right? How do you tap into what's happening in culture and have your brand show up the right way? So this is something we just did about a month ago for solar. So this is the teaser video, solar eclipse. How many of you saw the solar eclipse? It was one of those events, schools were shut down, everybody was flying to path totality. So here's just a teaser video for what we did on for solar eclipse. So this video got so many views, and it was, we did a whole 360 activation. So this is just one component. So we had 100 limited edition bags, what you see here, the solar eclipse chips. We also had partnership with Kelly Jawardi, who is the 90th women astronaut. So she is a mom, so she was, right, it was like a match made in heaven for us. And then we also took over a huge wheat field. And knowing the moon was blocking the sun, we wanted to send messages to the moon. So we carved in this wheat field that's 7 size of football fields, maybe 7 or 8. And we carved messages to the moon throughout the week, like, hey moon, move, different messages. And we also had really fun social banter. So Starburst, Starry, Milky Way, Go Puff. So there were a lot of really just friendlies that we were able to banter with on social media. And we also partnered with Food for Good, was a charity where we gave a donation to that organization. So overall, holistically, as part of this activation, we got 4 billion impressions, which in the CPG world, that's tremendous. And we were #1 share of voice for edible foods. We got 9,000 displays out there in stores and drove our sales double digit. So this was something that, right, you can't be Sun Chips without the sun, so it was just made a lot of sense for us to activate in this moment to be culturally relevant. But from a long-term equity standpoint, I was telling Ariff, we're actually working on an equity video creative that's launching in 2 weeks, which is kind of like what you saw in 1991. So we have a new version coming out for 2004. It's going to be pretty amazing. It's going to, the whole platform is around the idea somebody will be good, which is how can whole grain taste so good? And just that teaser, there's going to be a little dog in there too, just like the one that you saw. So it's going to be a lot of fun. So be on the watch out for it.
So cool. So, I mean, great transformation. I mean, just cultural moments, right? Tapping into that, the change. You clearly don't like your job at all. I mean, it's really not like it.
I have to say marketing is really fun.
Right.
Okay.
Brilliant. Now I want to give some time to you, Paz, because, you know, We need more time. We need 5 more hours. But, Pat, so let's talk about TGI Fridays, right? Let's go back in the past and the future. You want to do that? A quick little trip down memory lane? I still have, my wardrobe is like that. You know, it's really like that. So tell me, I mean, so now from that to where you're going, right? That's, you know, I'd love to hear your story.
No, 100%. Yeah, you know, it's funny. There's a little cringe when I watch it. Not maybe how I would have done it, but you know what I appreciate about this edit, looking back, and what is still true for the brand is kind of that welcoming nature that, you know, in hospitality, that's always kind of the tone that you want to set. And so what I really appreciate about this ad was, it was this invitation to people of all stripes, is what we say on the brand. And so you saw, whether it's, you know, a traditional date night, husband and wife, boyfriend, girlfriend, you know, daddy, daughter, or mom and son, right? Connecting those moments and being that facilitator of that connection between those two people, as well as throwing a little bit of value in there, right? Because what is interesting, and we'll get to, I think, the other edit, value in the hospitality industry, at least that the way I was brought up, is it's more than just price value. There's a lot of different facets. So it is that question of what's the get for the guest or the consumer, from all different angles, whether that be quality, convenience, or just simply price value. And so there, I think that the edit hit 2 different things for us. It hit both the connection point, that really that's all we are, is a facilitator of more important moments that are happening within the restaurant, as well as the price value, that hey, you can enjoy and have these moments together and not have to deal with the dishes afterwards.
Right. I mean, obviously from Yelp, that's a big audience. I mean, you're right, it's all about price value, but great quality, right? It's a big driver, and especially with price cards, all those things that come into it. But so do you want to share the new creative?
Yeah. Well,
let's be clear, because there's something else coming as well,
yes,
right?
There's something else coming.
So, in your, 7 months? Yeah. Already started. So, yeah, Jack.
Yeah, so for me, what I loved about showing these 2 videos was there's a mirror there in terms of that guest insight, that human truth of, at the end of the day, what I've learned is the consumer never wants you to tell them how they use your brand, how they should feel about your brand, but they want to know that it's a fit in their life. So this edit for me, while very different versus the first, I probably would lean towards this one, right? But it does, I think, ping on that similar connection point of let us be the facilitator of fun for you, and then it rides along with, you know, what will bring you in. It's this great value, which happy every hour. What I was sharing with the team with Ariff and Sara last night is the offer itself, though, is evolving, and so not there's not an edit ready for prime time yet, but we've actually evolved the offer to be, I think, even more welcoming, but also still providing that sense of urgency to get the guest in. So we are now evolving from a happy every hour to a $5 happy hour. And while, you know, like myself, I'm not typically my core demographic. A lot of times we're never, I think in the audience, I would assume many have experienced the same, that we're not our core demographic. But with this new happy hour, I was telling Ariff and Sara yesterday, I'm like, I would challenge anyone in this room to not find something on that happy hour that you would not be happy with, because it you know, if you, like me, are boring and you want a Tito's and soda and lime, $5. If you want to be a little bit fancier, maybe it's a bullet and a large ice cube, $5. But if you want a handcrafted cocktail margarita, because who doesn't? Tequila's on the rise, $5. So I'm like, beer, wine, liquor, we've got you. All it is at the end of the day is a facilitator of fun. Come in, add on, ideally.
It's a happier hour.
It's a happier hour, for sure.
That's why we're all going for happy hour this week.
So, in the interest of time, because I know I wanted to get in, you know, the creation of loyalty, right? You know, lasting loyalty. And if I could start with you and then go to Sarah, and that might be our last one, there may be questions. But from your perspective, you know, that's a big key piece, right? You know, and it's competitive out there, it's a battlefield, right? So how do you create that lasting loyalty with the programs that you have right now with TGI Fridays?
Well, for me, with loyalty, whether we're talking about like CRM loyalty, like really getting into the weeds, or from a product innovation perspective, it's really three things. Part of it is ensuring, as was mentioned earlier, that what you're doing, whether it's an activation and campaign or the product, that it's relevant for the consumer, right? That it's something that they're interested in, that grabs their attention. But it also has to be easy and accessible, right? And when I say that, it means a whole myriad of things, whether that means from a pricing standpoint, from a convenience standpoint, but also as a connection to your brand. First and foremost, it has to, we've mentioned authentic a couple times on stage already, but like if it doesn't make sense for your brand, I think there's just that filter right now of if it's not, you can sniff that out very quickly. The audience, that consumers can, and then lastly, that it's super distinctive to and unique to the brand. Because if you don't have that, then why would I, as a consumer, be loyal to what you're doing?
So how do you do the personalization on that? Like, how do you make that more personal? Well, for me, if I'm, I want to be a loyal member of your business. So how does that make me excited?
Yeah, so to go down the rabbit hole more so in terms of how that loyalty really ignites is through our CRM program. So we have a Fridays Rewards program that the goal there is to engage not just current guests and keep them coming in one more time, increasing their visit, their traffic throughout the year, but also including and inviting newer guests to the franchise, if you will, to be part of and get those exclusive offers. Because if you can engage a guest that loves you, it's always easier. We know as marketers, right? It's more efficient to engage a consumer that loves you than to go out and fight for that guest that doesn't know you, and you're having to push water up a hill on, hey, no, here's the perception we want you to have. So loyalty, through a rewards program like Fridays Rewards, allows us to highlight those exclusive offers. Typically is the medium that we've used right now to keep those guests engaged, bring them in, and almost be the tiebreaker in some cases for guests, for the super loyal guests especially, come in and basically pay for your next meal through a loyalty program. And then you go a level deeper by really getting into the segmentation. So something that I say to my team a lot is within loyalty, right, it's how do we show our consumers that, show me you know me, know me, show me you know me, and add value to my life. When you think about those CRM programs that really just, unfortunately, you can't do without, right? And it's just so much easier because I have the app, I'm part of the program, I have the points, why not? That becomes a tiebreaker because in hospitality, right, you are making those decisions potentially at least 3 times a day, right? Wow. And unfortunately for our society, and COVID was when I was in global once upon a time, seeing the difference between U.S. versus rest of globe, and we eat out a lot more, unfortunately, than the rest of the world, and so the casual dining, fast casual, QSR industry remains safe because at the end of the day, there's some generations that just don't cook as much as in other parts of the world.
You're going to do amazing things. It's going to be exciting to see that. So just over to you. We're going from sort of casual dining to CPG, right? A little bit different. How do you create lasting loyalty from a CPG perspective?
Yeah, so I would say innovation, and I talked about this earlier, how do you make sure you're constantly innovating on your portflavor, making it relevant for consumers? And I'm going to give an example from my innovation days when I worked on Doritos. So we launched for flavor innovation, so there's what we call 52-week, right? So Doritos barbecue, I'm not sure how many of you had that. That was a big innovation we launched. It gives a new offering, right, a new flavor for Doritos consumers. But then additionally, to kind of build on that loyalty, we also launched a lot of LTOs. So like Doritos Roulette, where you'd be surprised, like the Flaming Hot Limon we just launched, every 5 or so or 10 chips is super extremely sour, right? And that's, right, building on the fans, getting them something to engage with. We also launched a year ago the Doritos ketchup and mustard as an LT, a limited time offering, which also really just help engage consumers, something new, something different. It helps to maintain our loyal consumers. And then for Sun Chips, right, we have new flavors that we're also always looking at. What are new flavors that we can launch that's what consumers are looking for? That's 52 weeks, that's going to be permanent, but then we're also looking at what are these limited time offering flavors. One that is doing really well is Monterey Jack Tomato Basil. It's just like a fantastic flavor on Sun Chips, and we use that to to keep people, giving people new news in the franchise and the brand so they can keep using it. Then also we also introduced canisters Sun Chips. So you can find Sun Chips in canister form. So for Gen Zs, people that's on the go.
I'm so into canisters.
Yeah, it's just another way for them to enjoy Sun Chips. So you have to continue to innovate on your portfolio to make sure you're maintaining that consumer loyalty on your brand and making the brand relevant over time. We
sadly are short on time, but can I just want to say one thing though? It's so exciting. I'm so thrilled to have the honor of being on stage with both of you. What you're going to do with your brands is amazing. We could spend hours talking about it, so please get to know these future CMOs in front of me here. So with that, sadly I'm getting people looking at me. So with that, I just want to say thank you, Brad. Thank you, Brand Innovators, and thank you, audience. Let's give a warm applause to our